Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3, where a train is stuck, probably unloading ash. No. Well, this is something else. Now there's an oddity. What the heck? What? 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 Why is that wire attached right there? Did I do that? Like, actually though, did I do that? Oh, that's not the button I'm looking for. That's so confusing because that's the red wire button. What the heck happened here? Or how did that happen? I'm actually really confused about that. Like, no Krydax in his right mind would have done that. I don't know what to do right now. I'm gonna go manually fix this. That's a new one for me. I'm actually really confused on how that happened. What on earth? How did that red wire get there? Because, like, I know better than that. It's not like I would have thought, oh, I can just use a random combinator to chain my signal all the way down. Like, I always use power poles. Every time. So if I did that, it was an accident. But what I'm more concerned about is that could have... Like, did that somehow happen from me deleting a power pole? Because I don't totally understand what automatic circuit wires is. Like, if I do something like this, and this is here, let's move that up by one, that up by one, and I remove this. It didn't, like, automatically change to this. So I don't think something like that happened, right? I don't know what the deal is here. I truly am at a loss. Oops. These need to be paused for a second. That needs to be emptied. This needs to be... This just needs to go back home to Solids Depot. And forget its life. This one wants moss. This one can have moss. And go on its merry way. Alright, well, I think we fixed that problem, but I still don't really understand it. So that's always a scary place to be. I mean, I understood the problem, I don't understand how it got there. So maybe someday we'll see it happen again, maybe it'll never happen again, I have no idea. That was a weird one. Anyway, I am going to be prepping for Pi2 Science as we have been. We're going to be working on our Pi1 Science build over here. So first we got to grab our shopping list. And then... I wonder if that one took forever to load. But it's not stuck anymore. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Alright, anyway, let's get rid of the extras. Turn that off, grab this. Tim crafting A, remove all the pieces. Okay, run over by trains. That train's not stuck. It's just actively unloading. Also, why is this one considering itself stuck? Because it just changed position. I bet it's because the loading process took 10 years. Yeah, because this only has 2 loaders. I bet it's because of that. Let's at least move it up to 4 loaders. Because this is going to keep... Actually, no, this is going to keep happening. We need to move it up to 6 loaders. Because otherwise that'll keep happening. Which is annoying. Alright. Anyway. Back to actually working on this. I need some coffee. And I'm really excited for the live stream, which is going to be tomorrow, if you're watching this the day it came out. Which is going to be July 5th. We're going to have so much fun. We're hopefully going to get our first Pi2 Science. We'll see. I mean, it feels like we're within, you know, a few hours of it, but I guess you never know for sure. But yeah, we're going to make our automation science down here, and it's going to be pretty chill. Most of it's soil extractors. The actual Pi2 Science is like not very many buildings. I'm just going to freeball it. So we've got automation science, and we needed 1.8 a second. So we got 5 of these. And they need all the flora, which can be stacked, so that's nice. So that'll just come right down here. Now each one of these needs 4 flora a second. That's a significant amount. I might actually need to space these out so we can fit a sideways inserter. Or 2, even. Or I could do blue inserters. God, that's still unloading. That is just crazy how long 20,000 takes to unload. Okay, so anyway, what am I doing here? So we've got 4 a second, 0.8, 0.8. Okay, so those can be planter box. Yeah, we'll just do direct feed on that. I think makes the most sense. Or direct insert is what I'm trying to say. And then those require 5 soil a second. But it won't be... you know, I wish I had that mod. You know what? I'm going to pause the recording and get the mod if I didn't already get it. There is a fancy tool that Simon made. I talked about it a while back. And... okay, yeah, I don't need equipment fuel manager to be a button. And it will help us with this, actually. So I'm gonna go grab that real quick. And I'll be right back. Okay, here we are with production rates calculator extreme. And so what this does is it does all the math on... it uses the simplex algorithm or whatever. I don't totally understand it. But it figures out that you aren't needing all of this building to run this building. And it actually tells you how much you need in. So the 4 seconds of soil is actually the correct amount. Whereas if we're just using rate calc, it's just going to tell us the full building. And we'd have to do the math ourselves. It's especially handy when you're doing multiple steps in a row, which we are, because we need the empty planter boxes. And we might not, well, in this case we do use the, or no, wait, that's not the right thing. But yeah, see, here's another example. This one makes 2 and this one makes 1. So then we'd have to like do the math twice in a row. And if we do this, it doesn't really give us what we need. You know, in terms of like the original stone, we're like, oh, we need 8 stone brick for that. But no, production rates calculator extreme tells us we only need 3.2 stone brick. So it's actually really handy. And I would recommend it. It's not, it does not strictly replace rate calc, but it also does not, or it also does do a function that rate calc does not do. And it also does something, you know, I mean, Helmod can do it, But if you're plugging it all into Helmod, that takes extra work. And sometimes you just want to know like one building rather than, you might have made this whole build in Helmod, but what about one exact building? You know, and it's just a lot easier to do it this way. So thanks, Simon, for making this mod. It is handy and I am using it. Okay, so we're gonna get these powered up. And now there's a little bit of an issue here. I'm thinking we do that one, that one, that one for Flora. And then we've got that for planter boxes. And then we need wood and whatchamacallit. And then we'll have Flora spoilage being dealt with somehow. I haven't figured that out yet. So then what was it? We needed 2.4 ash, 4 a second soil. Good gravy. I mean, I'm almost wanting to use loaders, but it's just not quite enough. Like, I could do that. That actually seems better. That's less inserters. Oh, this one isn't set up for that, though. Never mind. Well, actually, wait. I guess I could just shift these down one. Yeah. Yeah. I do still need to deal with spoilage. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. By the way, spoilage is going to be the end of me. I forgot to deal with it in these buildings. First of all, these buildings could end up outputting jerky, just straight up. I need to go fix this manually, otherwise it'll take an hour for the bots. But yeah, the crap is not safe at the moment. That's not the crap. Where's the crap? No, that's the crap, yeah. Yeah, so we forgot to deal with potentiality of spoiling inside the building, which is possible because the buildings need 10 per recipe, right? And so because of that, there's a decent chance that there's some just sitting in here right now. Yeah, there's 5 in there, and that's gonna spoil, and then jerky's gonna be on this belt. So we absolutely need jerky to be filtered right here. And then this one, we need to output just back onto the belt, because if we have a solids output, it will be jerky. So that's easy enough to fix. It's now fixed, but geez, that kind of thing, man. It's, and I'm glad I turned on spoilage. Like, I really am. I'm enjoying spoilage, but man, I think it's the spoiling inside the buildings, both the source and the destination buildings, that gets me bothered. I don't mind things spoiling on belts or on trains or whatever. I find that to be an interesting part of the challenge. And to some level, it's fun because it gives you reasons to use all sorts of funky circuit controls and everything. So, like, I've enjoyed it on balance, but it certainly has had its share of frustrating moments. And I will say, a lot of it was improved when they changed all the outputs to be fully fresh whenever the recipe finishes. And that may not be true for every recipe. It's because it's, you know, the way the pie prototypes have it set so that it's not inheriting freshness from the source. But yeah, ever since that change, things have definitely been better. Okay, so this is the Flora belt. This is the small parts and wood for fuel belt. And then this is the output science. The output science and fluorospolinen. And then we'll filter that on the other end. Okay. And then fluorospolinen can also come from here. So we'll do that. And now that belt has all the potential fluorospolinen on it. Perfect. And then we'll do some sort of power pole situation here. And this is what we want for each building. I'm just gonna turn on my bots, let them do that. Okay, so that's settled. Flora collector wise, trying to think if we need a certain... Let's see, this is the far left edge. I do want to hit the whole patch. Okay, so what does that give me? That's 14 a second right there. That's almost enough. Or is that exactly enough? I forget. It was somewhere in that ballpark. Okay, so that is part of what we need. And then we're gonna need a little more. Get these built. Oh, I didn't realize we had a tree problem in the middle. Better. Okay, so that's a lot of flora, and the problem, this is just a little bit of a problem here, which is, if we mine more than we need, which we are, then it's going to... I don't actually know how to fix this. Because loaders can't pull spoiled first. Because here's what I was thinking. What I was thinking is we do like a basic, you know, load the flora in, and then we have the miners only run when the flora in here is less than like 100 or less than 500 or something. And then it would, you know, fill it up a decent amount, and then it would empty out, and then when it gets below, they'd all run for a minute, and then it'd kind of get filled up again. But the problem with that is the loader out is going to take at what rate? And the other problem is the... You know what I can do? You know what? I just solved it. We're just going to use a lane balancer. This is one of those weird cases. They don't show up very often, but a lane balancer is actually the solution here. This bad boy will guarantee that both lanes get pulled from, and then if we do an actual input into both sides, like these are, you know, we could do a splitter first, but this splitter actually doubles as balancing these two. And so that means all 4 of these lanes will be pulled from equally, regardless of which lane they're being picked up from on this output belt. Because what that will prevent is the spoilage from happening, because like let's say we were doing this, just as an example of what I'm trying to avoid. I guess I never really told you guys what I'm even talking about here. Like if I was doing that, but these miners are always enough, then this stuff on this belt will just spoil, because it'll never get a turn. You know, they won't be taking turns. It'll just be like, this one will provide enough, this one will provide enough. But then some weird day, you know, this miner runs out of its patch, and so now this isn't enough, and now fluorospilinen's on the belt in a weird way, and it breaks things. So I'm just trying to make sure that, like, this flora would only ever spoil if we stopped needing the automation science packs completely. Did we ever request logs? We did. Okay, so we need a wood processing unit somewhere here, and ash, soil, stone, wood, iron. Okay, and these I can do 1 for every 2. Might as well save a couple buildings. And so these need a wood belt for the actual things. The wood belt here does need to have, but it'll be stacked, so that'll be fine. So yeah, this gets a little tricky. We're gonna need a few belts coming out here. I'm gonna make sure we use all the space we can get. Okay. So let's say wood is on this one, because we know we also need it. God, I still can't believe it's 10 wood per log. It's awesome. So that's like 12 wood a second right there. Though, is that enough? We might have needed more than 12 wood a second. Let's just make sure we've got enough here. And then that'll go on to a side belt, which is not enough. Holy crap, it's not enough. 15 wood a second isn't enough, right? Simplex, save me. No, it is. It is. Okay, never mind. Okay, so that's enough wood. And then that will go and mix with the small parts for this one. And then we also need it to mix with the something else for this one. Maybe the iron. And then the stone brick will be its own for that. The soil will be its own. What was the ash needed? 12 a second ash. So we need one full belt of ash. But each of these buildings is only going to be needing 2.4 ash a second. So that's just... Okay, now here's where I'm like, but these 5 buildings only need to run... Because I don't need 2 a second, I need 1.8 a second, right? Yeah, so we only need 90% of that. So what's 90% of 2.4? What's 90% of 0.8? It's 0.72. So I only need 2.16 ash a second, which this can handle. So this can be my ash belt. That one should be pretty easy. Why don't we just... No, definitely use filters. Silly. Just filter them properly. Okay, so that's the ash belt. And this comes down and... Lots of squiggles here. More squiggles than I would normally prefer. But that's the ash belt. This is the wood belt, which I'm just going to move down a little bit to be more out of the way. And then the wood belt then is one of these. And that filters on wood, or log. That is the correct log. So that goes there. Then we need stone brick on one. We need, and then iron plate and small part on another. So we'll do split filters, small part iron, and then this one will just be stone brick only. Okay. So then this is the stone brick. And which one was the stone brick needed in? The final step. And it was needed in huge quantities. I might actually use loaders for that one because it's also fewer buildings. So for this one, I actually might just do that, and I guess the final one doesn't need one. Loader, loader, loader. Like that. Okay, and then This building needs the ash belt coming all the way through. And then the soil belt will come down here. That still needs to be accomplished. And then the wood needs to go with the iron. And the small parts need to go with the wood. So small parts are coming from here. Okay, we're almost there. So this one, we're gonna have small parts go right. And then that comes down here. And then the iron comes down here. Goes on the other side of that. And that gets loaded in here. So then those buildings are running on wood. Then these buildings need to run on wood. So that is placed in the middle of all of them. Okay. Everything's powered up. All the buildings have fuel. These guys need the ash. Okay, that's done. This has gotten way messier than I thought it would be for how organized I felt about it. Okay, and now we just need the soil, which is going to be a fairly large build indeed. I forget how many soil extractors, but it was a lot, wasn't it? So let's just set that up, starting with room for pump jacks at the top. Or no, we'll put the pump jacks at the bottom. Smart. Was it 8? Or no, I think it was like 10. It was definitely more than 8, whatever it was. And as far as water, yeah, it was like 2 pump jacks per side or something. Okay, so then boom, boom, boom. Someday we'll have substations. That'll be a beautiful day. And this is the kind of thing where, like, I actually wouldn't hate quality on power poles. I haven't talked about quality in a while, but those of you that know me know I don't have a hugely positive view of the quality mechanic that they introduced in Space Age. But it does really work for certain things. And I think it works really well for things like power poles, where you get, yeah, because there aren't really power pole tiers as it is, you know, and like, and a substation is a different thing because it's 2x2, and maybe Pi has 1x1 substations. I know there's specific Pi substations. We haven't gotten to those yet. But like that notwithstanding, I think quality kind of meets the need where if you had like a 1x1 power pole and then you had the substation and then you had different quality tiers on both. Now, I don't think that it makes any sense that the substations also only get 1 extra tile per quality boost, like, and I think they're changing how you can modify the, like, coming in 1.1 or 2.1 for Factorio, they're changing how you can modify qualities bonuses for things, which is cool, but at the same time it still is just such a limited mechanic in so many ways. It makes me sad. Okay, and then we need these guys, which are going to take up where the power poles currently are. I'll figure that out somehow. Actually, will I figure that out? I guess I'll have to do one of these guys. That actually is more efficient anyway. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all my ingredients, except I will steal some iron, and I don't want to get rid of all my small parts. But we do want to get rid of all of our flora here. And then finally, we've got flora spalinin here, so we do need 1 bot nurse. It's gonna be a little messy. No, I guess I can do this. Put that there. This one has space for like a merged input priority right situation. So we can bring the... And we actually, given that things are always taking from the same side, it's weird. That means everything on this side's gonna spoil eventually. But that's fine because it won't get taken from. Well, wait a second. Oh man, what's going on here? So these... No, but they need more than half a belt. Why is nothing coming off the other side of the belt? Because these aren't running constantly, because they don't have small parts. Why don't they have small parts? Because we're fueling with flora. Oh. There we go. Can I copy settings? No, it copies to the wrong... No, it doesn't. You just have to take it out. Okay, so we'll paste onto those buildings, take out the flora. There we go. Okay. So now the correct fuel is inserted. Okay, anyway, but with all of these running, it should take flora from both sides of the belt. You know, we're taking more than 15 a second here. Even at 90% of the rate, which would be our actual rate. That still is more than half the belt. So flora will get taken from both sides. So we should be okay on that front. Alright, anyway, this is gonna repurpose. We're gonna do a... But what if this is idle for a long time? This could have biomass on the end. And so then we need some sort of situation where only to the right do the automation science packs happen. And then here we have a boiler. Which needs water coming from the same place as our electric boiler. Just put this down here. Connect those. Okay, so that's now steamed up. This will exhaust vent. And then we need biomass to go in there. We need biomass here to go in there. And we need the fluorospolinen to go into there. And then the output flora, which will be fresh, will come up to here and be input prioritied. Sure. We do want maybe a chest here just to make sure we don't get, or no. Yeah, we don't back up on anything. Okay. I think we've handled spoilage. No guarantees. This stuff is complex. But we got automation science packs at what is hopefully the rate that I was attempting to achieve. And man, we really spaghettied over here, didn't we? I mean, there's a lot of nice and straight belts, but it is also spaghetti. This is what some would call lasagna. This is some good lasagna. Alright. Load those in, merge these chests. This is auto sci. You know, I can use full words. Science inputs. And there we go, I mean... Oh. I didn't realize the input for these was so high on wood. Okay, there we go. We actually need... Oh my gosh. Ugh. We actually need one more even for the doubles. And this one might even need a second. Okay. Now we're cooking. And then these, the ash is too slow? No, we did the math on that. The ash is okay. The ash is actually okay, because we don't need all 5 of these to run constantly. Oh, and this one's output is stolen by a lamp. That sounds about right. Alright, I think that's our automation science build done. Something we have not improved since the very beginning of the game. This build has gotten me 200 hours, and it was one of the first builds we made. Good for you, but you are finally going to be retired. I mean, I might leave it for now for the cDNA stuff, but pretty soon it's not going to be primary thing. I'll just let this whole thing fill up. 72 stacks feels fine for given the speed at which we're making it. You know, we're making a stack every 100 seconds, so that's only 2 hours worth of production right there. So that's fine for science. And yeah, that's it. That's all we're doing. Goodness. Crazy stuff. Okay, let's go back now and continue with our Pi2 science build. Now that that's done. Now that that's crazy that that's done, by the way. 1.8 science a second. I never thought I'd get over 1 science a second of anything. But here we are, we did it. Okay, this is not the right place. Carry on. To the next block. Do signals? No, you can drive over signals. I couldn't remember if you could drive through signals or not. Okay, so in the last episode, we were kind of looking at all of our different inputs for this version of it, where we took out all the other blocks. This is what just this block needs. And technically, feels weird to do, but we just removed that whole thing, because those are being made somewhere else. So really, these are my numbers now. So let's confirm. Do I have enough for 3 native flora a second is still needed? Okay, what is that needed for? Is that really real? It is needed for the biosamples. Yeah, that's real. Okay. Now we could make biosamples somewhere else and ship them all. Are biosamples used in enough places to make them on trains? I don't think so. Well, maybe they are. And then we could just ship in the biosamples. And then we'd still need a tiny bit of flora for the biological samples, but that would be it. Interesting. We've already got heaps of flora over here. It wouldn't be that hard to make biosamples over here too, would it? Yeah. Let's just do that. Because biosamples are used in enough places that I think it could be worthwhile. So we'll have a let's do it on the weak side. Provider extension, I guess we'll put it there. But then these are in a weird place, so that'll need to be fixed. And then the flora will just belt across somehow, all of this. And then we'll need another requester. Where's my weak side requester? There we go. Okay. And the actual biosamples we need, you know, we're talking like 0.2 a second, so pretty small build for that. This is just my throwaway. There we go. So if I wanted 1 a second, that would need 10 incubators. So we're talking like 3. So let's make 4 incubators worth to start. Yeah, that seems about right. And then, yeah, I mean, that's simple enough. Outflow a minute could be up to 48 titanium. That's a stack every 2 minutes. And for these, it's a stack every 4 minutes. Okay. So I do need 4 incubators extra for all that. I'm guessing the auto mall has somewhere. We'll get that set up real quick, and then we'll just provide the biosamples, which makes things a bit more simplified for us. And we need those in other places later, so it'll work fine. I think, yeah, there's 3 right there. I just need 1 more. Perfect. Gosh, the bots have to fly so far. To get all the way over to here. I don't envy them. And you know, I was talking about the quality mechanic a minute ago. I just was reminded of another thought that, like, I actually think I prefer to the quality mechanic. For certain buildings, I prefer it to be researches. Like, rather than this weird, like, throw a million resources at it until you get a higher quality of something, just having an improvement on something. Although, at the other, well, I don't know. Here's my actual thought, is I actually prefer something like turd more, but there could be a second type of turd. Here it is. I got it. Okay. So screw quality, the gambling and just throwing more of the same resources at it, whatever. The thing that does accomplish, though, like to get to an uncommon medium electric pull, is that you had to spend more resources on it. Whereas a research is a one-time cost. Like, let's say there was a research that did the same thing. It improved the radius by 1 and the wire reach by 2. You know, whatever. And ignore health, we don't have biters. So let's say that's all it did, but there was a research that did that, or that's the same thing as going up 1 tier in quality. The difference here is that a research is only a one-time cost for the rest of the game, but I actually like that quality gives you this option of, like, if you want the better power poles, you now are going to have to spend more on your power poles. You know, like, you have to recycle a bunch of regular ones that ended up not being upgraded. And that's kind of a nice mechanic, and because then it's like, oh, you're putting in extra resources to get a benefit. And that does work up to a point, you know, for certain things. Like, I like that pyanodon's has tier 2 buildings. You know, when we look at, you know, like, we want a second tier of a ball mill. Well, it does not cost the same things, but more of them. Like, just multiplying all your resources by a bunch is, to me, less interesting. I find this more interesting. It requires more complex ingredients. And so I prefer this for a lot of things. I prefer the regular, you know, ever since Bob's, and probably before Bob's. I mean, heck, default Factorio has assembler tiers, right? that follow the same idea. So I like that idea more for most things, but for something like the power pole upgrade, I could see a similar system to a turd existing where you do the research and then it forever changes the recipe, but it also gives you the bonus radius. Now, the difference between that and quality is you then wouldn't have a choice. You wouldn't have a choice to do the low quality ones where desired. You'd only be making the high quality ones. But I kind of like that, where like instead of costing, you know, what does it cost right now? It would go from 2 copper, 1 chromium, 4 aluminum. It might jump up. It might get 10 times more expensive. 20 copper, 10 chromium, and 40 aluminum. And you have to decide, is that worth it? You know, and then it becomes an interesting trade-off. Rather than just a one-time cost, it does make the actual things more expensive, but it does give you maybe, you know, the equivalent to an uncommon or a rare. I actually think that type of system could be interesting for this type of situation. Anyway, we need to find a free spot for an underground flora belt to get all the way over, which somehow beyond all reason I have found it for biosamples. Okay, so this is gonna be biosamples. Like that. Got it. And then we said we needed at most like what, 6 flora, so that's only like 5 of these guys. Oh, thank goodness. Might only be 4. No, we need 5. One more mining upgrade though, which well, did we get it in Pi 2 or do we not get it until productivity? When do we get mining prod? Okay, mining. Yeah, it's not till Kim Sai, so we're still a ways away from that. Though Kim Sai is closer to Pi 2 than Pi 2 was to Logi Sai, as far as I understand, anyway. And then in terms of requests, I think we'll go with... I don't know if I want to do a full 20 stacks. That feels really expensive. Let's just go with 10 for now. I can always bump it up later. But titanium... 11... Steel... 11... Glass... Because... No, I guess we have cheaper steel now, too. Titanium's still not cheap, though, and lead is... No, lead is cheap. We did the molten lead. But we haven't done molten titanium. Titanium we're still making the old-fashioned way. So it has not been made cheaper in any real sense at this point. Which could be a problem. Okay, so these are just going to be the 4 materials of the apocalypse. And that goes out to there. And then this is our input. Okay, so this is pretty chill. I unfortunately need a little bit of bio containers. I need some wood to run these, or some logs or something. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Look at this. Now, I could run the buildings on flora if I really, really wanted to. I think that would actually be fine, because I only need 0.2 buildings working on biocontainers. So the amount of energy that this needs is only 30 kilowatts. So even, it would only be 1 flora every 10 seconds, even for the rate that we need. But we will supply wood there. Oop. And then these guys come down And do I need sideways inserters? I mean, not really. Maybe for this one we do. This one needs to be the one with titanium on it. Just preemptively put that in there. And then the other three don't matter. Okay, so we'll do that. Get power hooked up. Now, biocontainers aren't used for anything else, right? Yeah, correct. So then we have our incubators, which just go along. Oh goodness, is it the stone? What? Oh. Huh. That's a new one though. Oh, that doesn't work. Right. Okay, what am I doing? I can... Since I actually want both things to go different directions, I can just do this. Oh, goodness. Alright, there we go. And then this goes this way. Maybe I should have set it up over here now that I think about it, because of the fluorospolenen reprocessor. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. I could also just burn all fluorospolenen and call it a day. But yeah, these need 1.5 in and 0.1 of the other things, which are here. Those get side-loaded. Let's do 2 inserters a piece. You don't need wood on that belt. Okay. And biosamples are done. And now all we need is the fluorospolenen reprocessing. Wait, what? You just reset your brain, okay? I don't know what happened here. It was something with this station, but I don't know what it was. Oh, it's probably because I had the request set up before the station was done. Although we've done that before too. That doesn't always create giant problems. Anyway, biosample less than... They stack to 100. We might be making up to 1 a second. So, yeah, let's just do like 3,000. I don't think I want 7,200 biosamples. Okay, and then the flora spolenen could come out as spoilage here. Biomass technically could, so let's instead do biosamples to the right. And then here we have anything pulled off that is not flora. Oh, we're out of belts. Excuse me, had to sneeze. Okay, let's just do this. This is so annoying. And I'm just gonna load it into there. And we'll just let it get reprocessed in the same way. We'll use that flora that we get back to fuel that science. I think it's fine. We're using it somehow. I think that's fine anyway. All right, that'll do glass and titanium. This will do lead and what was the last one? Steel plate. Okay. So that should work. Like, are we done? I think we're done. Yeah? No. No, this needs to be wood to the left. The reason is because this could end up with floor splinin or biomass on behind it if the belt backs up. Man, spoilage really requires you to be thinking of all the possibilities. It really adds up, I think. Okay, we're gonna go back and grab some more stuff, and then we'll probably call it an episode soon. Oh, I also just realized we still haven't researched Pi Science Pack 2. Ha! That's funny. I was so focused on thinking about how close we were that I completely forgot we still haven't even researched it yet. We're still 2 hours away. So we should be able to finish that in the stream, and I think we can set up everything we need, especially now that we've got bio samples set up. Like, what's even left? I think there's nothing left at this point. I guess we have to make bone meal on site. Why is there a train sitting behind me? What? Trains never come this way. What the heck? Okay, now that's confusing. That's really confusing to me. I've never seen that before. Anyway, yeah, most of this is just connecting the ingredients we already have. It's not like making a lot of stuff on site. Like I said, we need the bone meal, and we need to do the microorganism mines for the incubated petri dishes. Is there anything else that's not processed already when it arrives on trains? I think those are the only two things. Oh, and we need a couple soil extractors. That's super chill. We definitely can get all that done in the stream. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I guess there's a subcritical water, which we make with biomass. I didn't quite address that properly, did I? I did not. Oh, you can also make it out of hot air. Now that's interesting. It's actually really interesting. Wait, what? I'm so confused by this. The Mark II recipe requires no additional ingredients, but is it researched after the Mark III? Who's in charge of this nonsense? Ha! That should be called Mark III. Subcritical Mark II and III are swapped. That's really funny. I'm pretty sure those are swapped. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So the question is, do I just want to use hot air or do I want to use biomass? So 300 hot air is taking the place of 120 biomass. But biomass is so easy to get. How much biomass per second are we talking? 0.6? How much biomass were we already using? None. But I could just compost literally anything. But I'm already importing hot air at 0.8 a second. How much extra hot air would we be talking here? So the extra hot air, if we use that version, see, that's 1.6 a second. I actually think the biomass is more chill. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm going with the biomass version, which means we will need some tiny amount of biomass, which I could compost wood. I mean, I could compost anything. I'll probably just compost wood or blood. I could compost a little bit of blood for that. But yeah, it's mostly just fluids, blah, 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 blah. We don't need to process any more of these. We just need the bone meal, the incubated petri dish, and a little bit of soil extraction. And I think that is it. And then all the fluid requests. So that's what we'll be doing in the stream. Let me refill my belts. We're gonna need not a million, but we will need some. And we'll refill everything else here that we haven't refilled in a while. Okay. Circuits. Power poles. Okay. 400 circuits. Good amount of iron. 3 copper. 3 steel. Go with 2 titanium. Some aluminum. Where's that? Here. Duralumin. Lead, we've got plenty. 10. Okay. Sweet. Well, I think we're gonna call it an episode there. We'll fill up on our advanced fluid handlings. And yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in the stream tomorrow. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.